Hi there, happy Monday evening. This is Sue at Miller's Laboratory, and we're going to be working in our Headstart journal tonight. I have a lot of stuff planned. I'm going to try to work through as much as I can. So I'm going to just dive right in here. I just want to say, though, that we do have a few more of these books left in my Etsy shop, so if you're interested, take a look. The first thing that I'm going to do is make a little pocket right on this front page, and I have this paper that I printed. I actually just went out in my yard and took a picture of a tree so I would have the bark, and I started to make this pocket, and then I thought I should probably show you guys how to do it. It's really hard to see. It was really hard to see on this paper because I printed it on both sides. So I'm just going to show you really quick with this piece of scrapbook paper. Okay, so if you just start with a rectangle, you're going to fold three sides in a little bit, and you can also fold the fourth one in. This will be the top of the pocket. If you would like to reinforce the top a little bit, you can fold that down a bit too, but you can make this any size you want. Okay, so we're just folding in. And this one happens to be scrapbook paper, so it's pretty sturdy. The paper that I actually used for the bark is just a regular weight paper. Okay, now I know I didn't get this fold exactly straight, but this is just for an example. I'm going to go ahead and cut off this corner here. So where I'm cutting is right where my two folds meet, and I'm just cutting that off so that I have an angle. Now we have like this tab on both sides, and if we fold that in, we don't have all that bulk there in the corner. This makes what's called a gusseted pocket. So you would put your glue on these three sides and then glue it down, and what's nice about it is that your card can go all the way to the edges of the pocket. Okay, so what we're going to do just a little bit different with this one is before I glue it down, I'm going to tear off one of the corners. Okay, so I'm going to tear it. If you're using pattern paper, you want to tear, if you don't want the white to show, you want to tear this down. Whatever is on the top will have color all the way to the edge. I don't know if that makes sense to you, but if you practice just tearing some paper, you'll see what I mean. Okay. All right, so now I have this torn one, and we would do the same thing. We're going to put glue on here, here, and here, okay, and glue it down. And then what happens is you have now a peekaboo pocket. I can't get it in there. Well, you know what? There we go. There we go. I just used this color because it shows up better. Now when you make a journal card or tag, you're going to see a little bit of it down in the corner, which is just kind of fun. All right, so that was my plan for this one, and I did glue the top down on this because it was just regular weight paper. And I'm going to tear off this corner here. So I'm going to go ahead and just do that. We're just going to tear it just like you just saw me do with the other one. And I'm just tearing right through the front of the pocket and also the little flaps that I made. Okay, all right, we'll put glue on that, and then we'll glue it down. Come on, baby. So you can see, wait, let me take the pin out of my mouth for a second. I did also clip the corner on this one on the top, and I should have showed you that. I didn't do it on here, but you would want to just cut that off at an angle too, so you don't see any of the inside or the white part from outside the pocket. Okay. I intended to use the spark paper maybe as a page when I printed it out, and then obviously changed my mind. So all right, so that's why it's printed on both sides. Otherwise I wouldn't do that because it's kind of wasteful to print it and then just cover it up. All right, we have a little bit of bulkage going on in that corner. There we go. All right, so let me just grab this card and show you again here. because it's easier now that everything's glued down. And then we have this, oop, got a little bit stuck there. There we go. Right down to that corner. Goes right down in there nice and neat. And I have seen people do both sides too, but to me that kind of looks like underpants. So I don't do it that way very often. Okay. All right, let's move on. I went through and I did a lot of punching, making my little half circles on the pockets. And in a few of them, I did some different shapes. I'll show you those as we go. All right. So let's just keep paging till we get to the next thing I wanted to do. Past our little flipper page there. And we're coming to this, this is the second, do I have two of those in there? I don't even know. Yeah, I do. There's the first like photo album page, and here's the second one. And then we come to this music sheet that's a nice big wide flip. Okay, and what I'm going to do on this one is I'm going to put an envelope on here. So I'm going to glue the flap down, the flap of the envelope onto the back of this flip, like that. So when you come to this page, you can flip this open and there's a pocket and we can slide things in there, and then you can also flip this page open. Okay, now here's my deal. This envelope is just a little bit wider than the page, and for flipping this way, that's no problem at all. But when you want to turn the page then this way, this is hanging down and it kind of gets hung up a little bit. So what I need to do is make this envelope just a little bit narrower. And so we're going to do it an easy way, and it's going to be similar to what we just did with that pocket. I'm going to take the bottom of this envelope and I'm just going to fold it up a little ways. Okay. All right, let me just move this up so that I can show you. So all I've done is, here's the open flap of the envelope. I folded the bottom up just a little bit, and I'm going to cut off the corner right to where I made my fold. Then we're going to go ahead and cut a little slit, or not a slit, we're just going to cut the very, very edge of that folded envelope off. So then we will have like two little flaps, and our envelope will be open on the bottom. Okay, now we've done this. We've ruined it, right? Okay, so what I want to do is I'm going to cut off, you can cut off the top flap or the bottom one. It doesn't really matter, whichever one you want to do. I think it'll be easier to cut off the bottom one because we aren't dealing with multiple thickness here. Okay, so I'm going to turn it over and I'm just going to cut right along that original fold and cut that right off. Let's just get here. I'm going to go ahead and fold this one inside because that's where it's going to wind up. Okay, and then it will kind of be out of my way when I'm cutting. There. So there, it's going to be like that, and then we're just going to go ahead and cut this guy off, and we're golden. Then we just glue it and we have a narrower envelope. There we go. Okay, so I'm just going to reach in here, I'm going to put glue right along that little flap and glue it closed, and voila, it's done. Now, you could just make your own envelope out of paper and make it whatever size you want. And that would be really nice too. And then you could have a pattern on it, or, you know, whatever color you want. So if you want to do that, feel free. This is just a little tip for resizing an envelope that you already have. All right, so now it's back closed again on the bottom and everything is hunky-dory, okay? Just move this scrappy stuff out of the way. All right, and then we'll bring our book back in, and then we're just going to glue this on here like this. Okay, and I want it to be about there, so, okay. So I'm just gonna hold this right here, and I'm gonna put glue right along the edges of this flap. You don't really have to put glue all over the whole thing. It'll stay down just fine. And then I'm going to go kind of close to the fold, but give myself a little bit of room there. We'll just do a little scribble in there just for good measure. All right, and then we'll just go ahead and put that right back down. Make sure it's where we wanted it. Looks good. Okay, so now we have this. Opens up. You can slip something inside here, and then we can easily open this one up too. And I don't mind this flap there, but you could cover it up with other papers if you wanted to. Okay, all right, let's move on here. I did want to say here I've cut again my little circle thumb notches out. Yeah, I'm sure you guys have noticed that I'm jumping all around in the book. I'm here, there, and everywhere. And I always do my books that way, because right at the beginning when I first started, I found that if I just start at the very beginning and try to work my way all the way through, I'm like cramming all of these, you know, cool ideas and everything in at the beginning, and then by that, you know, I get like 3/4 of the way through and you just kind of peter out. So it's better to spread it all out, because it's okay to have pages in there that are just plain where you didn't do anything. That's fine. All right. So I'm just going to keep going. We're definitely going to do something in here, but not today. I haven't decided yet. Little thumb notches, just narrow ones on here. Okay, just got something fun to do here too. All right, now this one I just marked because I put a thumb notch in here, but I used a different punch. This one is like a little scallopy Stampin' Up punch that I have, which makes like a kind of a cool, I don't know what you call that. It's like a label or something, but it makes a nice little different shaped hole. So that's just a reminder that you don't have to use a circle one if you don't want to. All right, I'm going to page again a little quicker. Nothing done here at all. There's that pop-up we did, and I'm going to come to this page here. All right, so this is in the third signature in the front half of it, and this is that stamp page that's folded in half, and we glued that up and made it into a pocket. And I did not put a semicircle punch there because I want to decorate the edge of this pocket a little bit, and I thought I would do that first. I don't think that I'm going to need the thumb notch in here. So what I'm going to do is fussy cut this out, and I will speed this up so you don't have to watch how slow I do it, and then I'll show you what I'm going to do next. Okay, you saw me switch scissors there in the middle, and it's really important for fussy cutting to have a nice sharp pair. I don't know what's the deal with this. This is a nice Fisker's pair, but they are duds for me. They are not working great. Okay, so what I want to do is I'm going to have the mushroom glued on so that it's just sticking up a little bit over the edge of the pocket, so that when you put something in there, the mushroom is kind of coming up over the tag or the journal card that you have in there, just a little bit, okay? And I think that because this is so short, I want to add a little bit of something on the bottom here. So I'm going to grab a couple of papers and maybe just do a little bit of collage. I feel like I need something down here to anchor those mushrooms a little bit. So let me grab something. All right, let's see what we think of this. I mean, it's just my trusty packaging paper, but I think that's going to be really good, actually. It just gives it something to stand on and separates it a little bit from the background. Yeah, I think that looks a lot better. So what I'm going to do is just, let's see which side I want to use, how tall I want it to be. I think I want a little bit more like that. Yeah. And then I'm just going to tear it off about here. It doesn't have to go all the way across. Let's just do that. And let's glue that down first. And this is going to be bigger than I need, so I'll have to trim it a little bit. So I'll just bring my scissors in and trim that off where it's overlapping. I'm sure you're only cutting one page. There we go. Yes, that looks good. Okay. So we want to glue this down, but we obviously don't want to put glue across the top of the mushroom because that would be a problem. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to see where that is, and I'm going to slide this down, and I'm going to put a little glue instead along the top of the pocket, and then we'll just come in here and we'll glue down here, down near the bottom and around, so that we don't accidentally put glue over the top of the pocket, if that makes sense. Okay, there. Like that. Yes. That just makes it stand out a little bit from the background, and I think that looks really good. So that's a fun way to make a pocket that just has a little bit more pizzazz to it. Okay? All right. Nothing here, nothing here, nothing here. Okay? So we're going to do the same thing here. Okay? We're going to put these little owls on the other side. This is the same page. All right? So we'll get fussy cutting those guys. All right, these little owls came out of a book that I have. Okay, and you can see I didn't bother cutting that out because I have this really similar background anyway, and I don't think it would matter. All right, so we're just going to bring them about right here. So you can see I'm going to trim that off a little bit on the bottom, but we'll go ahead and get them glued on. And I'm just going to show you another way to do this to make sure you don't get the glue in the wrong spot. And I'm just going to put a little mark on either side of the owl so I know to put my glue between there. Then I can come back with an eraser and take it off. Or you probably won't ever see it anyway, so it won't matter. All right, and we're just going to glue like about from here down. Okay. So cute. They're so cute, aren't they? All right. All right. So we'll just, this is the one with the crappy eraser. Sorry, excuse my words. There we go. There we go. All right. So this one we will have the little owl's head sticking out over the tag that we put in. Isn't that cute? All right. So we're just going to trim this off on the bottom like we did on the other page. Okay, so now if I wanted to, I could put some kind of a thumb notch there. I just don't think it's really needed. All right, okay. Clear off my mess here. All right. Now, way back in the beginning, I showed you guys my inspiration, which was this tree book that I had. And I said I wanted to use one of these pages in every signature, but I hadn't put them in all the signatures. And so I'm adding some more in tonight for that. And what I decided to do with this one is make it into a pocket on its side, because that's fine. It doesn't matter to me that it's sideways. And where I'm going to put this is on this pocket, which was this tall folded piece that we just glued shut last week, if you remember. You can see I punched a thumb notch in the top of it. And what I'm going to do with this folded page, you could use any piece of paper or whatever you want, is I'm going to make a wraparound pocket here. So it's going to be right around this other pocket. And I'm just kind of looking to see how it lines up with the pages behind it. And I think that looks nice that I'm kind of making that even around there. So that's about where I want it to be. Okay, so what I'm going to do here is I'm going to just open it up, and I'm holding it down so this isn't going to move at all. Okay, and I'm going to go ahead and put glue around the edges here up to where I folded it. Okay, and then real quick, I'm going to turn this page and open this up, because this is going to want to glue closed right here. And we're going to go ahead and put glue around this side. And then press it down here. So I just think this is kind of fun because it's offset from the page behind it. You can have something in here that's a little wider. Oops, let's get that pressed down all the way good. You know, on both sides, you can have something, and then you can also have something in the top. Okay, and we could have punched thumb notches in there before we put it on, or I can do it after, or I can not have them. It's up to you. All right. Oh, remember this little thing from last week? I folded that little corner down just a little bit, and what that is like a little handle or a reminder that that's where you're going to grab a hold of that and pull it down. Do anything there or there. Okay, here is another book page. Okay, again, this doesn't have to be book page. It could be just a piece of paper. But what I did with this is I decided it's going to be a combination of a top tuck and like a little sort of a window shade, kind of a pull out thing. Okay, so I folded this from the top as far down as I wanted it to go, and you can make it as long as you want. Okay, and then I took the rest of it and I sort of just folded it all up, you know, back and forth, and left it so that there's a little bit sticking out the bottom. Okay, so I just kind of, you know, you just do it however you want. Fold it up, down, up, down, up, down, and then leave a little bit of the last piece sticking out at the bottom. All right, and then what we're going to do is just glue this along the top, just a little strip of glue. And you could also attach this with tape if you wanted to instead. And I may come back later and put some washi tape on there or something, because I kind of like the way that looks. So I'm going to leave a little bit of space there. Okay. All right. Glue it down. Okay. Okay. So this has got some thickness to it, and you could use it as a little tuck spot and tuck something up underneath it like that, and it will stay. Okay. And then we're going to make a little tab. I'm not going to do that right now, but then you can just pull this down and you'll see the whole page. Okay. And it's longer than the book, and so you can use this to use this technique to use something that's taller, but you want to use the whole thing. If you had a really tall image and you wanted to get it all in there, you could do it that way. Okay. All right. Now I didn't need to punch anything here, but I did punch a thumb notch on the top of this bag, and I grabbed this piece of paper to remind me to give you this little tip, because this paper is really thin, and sometimes when you try to punch on the thin paper, it just it doesn't cut. It just gets caught in there, and it gets all torn and folded, and it's a mess. If you just stick a little piece of paper down before you punch, so you're adding some thickness to this, it will punch really nice. So that's just a little tip for you. Okay. All right, we're going to keep going here. I'm to the last signature. Okay. You'll have one of these really pretty sort of paste paper pattern in some color, whatever color goes with your book. And then on the other side, there's just a small flap, and we're going to do something here. Okay. So what I want to do is I'm going to make, I wanted to put some little coin envelopes in there so we can put some little things in the book, okay? And so I had some coin envelopes, and I just grabbed some old paper and I glued it to the inside of the flap and down a little ways inside. You can see where it stops, okay? But so that when I put a thumb notch in there, I don't see the plain paper, I just see the text, okay? And then I did the same thing on this one, but on this one I also added, I just punched this little leaf, and that is out of, you want to use cardstock, or I did that out of watercolor paper, so it's a little thicker, and I glued most of it down except for the top, and that makes a little tuck spot where you can tuck the top of the envelope and hold it closed. Okay, so what we're going to do is we're going to glue. We're going to make this so it looks like it's just one envelope, but when you open it up, there's actually two there, okay? So what I'm doing is I'm lining them up this way, and I want to put them about halfway. I'm tucking them under the flap, and I want it to be about, so that the envelope is kind of split right in half, okay? So we're just going to remember that placement. All right, and then I'm going to just hold this down and open it up, and we're going to put glue. We're going to glue this envelope, the one that we have the closure on the inside of this. I'm trying to think of the best way to do this. I think what I actually want to do is glue this one down first. I think that will help us. All right, so let's do that. We'll put glue, and I'm going to keep the flap open on this one. If you wanted to, you could have it closed the same way. I just wanted to have it taller so that I could put something tall and skinny in there if I wanted to. All right, so I'm gluing this whole thing down. All right, I think that's the easiest way to do this. And then I want it to be right between about the C and the B in the Macbeth there. So we're going to put it about here. Just kind of play with it until you get it where you want it. And then go ahead and press it down. So that one is glued in there. It's just a pocket, okay? Now I'm going to take this guy and I'm going to put him here. So he's right over the top. So when this is closed, it just looks like an envelope with the flap open, okay? And I'm going to put glue along here, just this left half of this envelope. And if you want to, then you can come in here and put a little bit right along this edge. And that would be a good idea, because then it will stay. Just kind of watch where you want to go. Keep it even with where your envelope is. Okay, all right. So this kind of looks like it's just one, but when you open it up, there's one here and there's one here. Okay, it's just like a little fun little thing. And you could put a tab on here, but I don't think you need to, because it kind of wants to stick up just a little bit, and you're going to want to flip it anyway. So I think that's good. All right. Okay, just a couple more things. Folded that little corner down, same reason, so you know that that's something to pull on. You could also just put a tab at the top if you wanted to for that one. Okay, Here is another one of these book pages that I want to put in. And we're going to hinge this in. We're just going to add it in like a flipping page. But we're going to do it in a different way. We're just going to add some washi tape along here and tape it in. Okay? So it's a little bit too long, so I need to trim it off. And I'm going to just wing it and do it with my scissors here. And I'm also going to trim a little bit off the top here. All right. That's good. That's good. All right. And then we're just going to put a little tape right along there like a hinge, and it will be like an extra, adding in an extra page. Okay. Let's do this right here. Okay. This is also, a lot of the washi tape I have is not the greatest. So I'm going to just add a little bit of glue all along here to kind of hold that onto the paper better. Let's make sure we tear it to the right length. About here. Okay, and then I'm just going to move the book a second here. We're going to set this down and we're going to put this tape right along that edge. So it's halfway on the book page and halfway off. Like that. Okay, and then I'm just going to put glue on the back of the washi tape here, and we'll glue it down to the page. You could just use a strip of paper for this. You know, that would be just fine. Whatever you want. Whatever you want to do. It's just making a hinge. Okay, and I just think it looks kind of cool. All right, so then you can open that page up like that, and then there's another page. Okay, this one I just marked so that I could show you again. I used a different punch here to punch that thumb notch. This one is like a little flower shaped one that I have, which is fun. Okay, and here we're almost to the back. This is the last page. Here is the matching pocket made out of the bark. And I just tore the other corner off on this one. Okay. All right. So I'm just going to add a little flap here. We have this flip. And I picked this out of a book that I have, a bird book. And I used an edge punch along the edge. I had this one that reminds me of leaves a little bit. So I thought that one would be good. And you don't have to. You could tear that edge. You could use your decorative scissors, or whatever you want. And then I'm just going to glue that down onto this flap. And then I will show you, I'm leaving my options open a little bit there, okay? And I'll show you after I get it down. This is a little fussy, but you are going to want to get some glue around these little bits so that they don't get flipped up and torn. So I am getting right along the edge there. Okay, let's just position that good about here. And I'm leaving enough space over here so that it's easy to grab a hold of this and open it. Okay, just make sure it looks straight on the page and everything before you really commit. I'll just turn that a little bit. There we go. Okay, and I like how that edge punch just kind of makes that blend into the background paper. All right, so on this back, the reason I said I'm leaving my options open, there is, well, no, I didn't. Never mind. We're not. I was going to just glue along the edge and maybe use that as a side tuck, but I have glued it closed, so we will not. You can remember that when you do yours. You could add a little bit to this page and then make that into a side tuck if you wanted to. Okay. And I could always add something on there to do that too if I want. Okay. All right. So that's the video for tonight. Wow. I packed a lot in there. I hope you had fun. And I will see you again next Monday night for another episode of the Head Start journals. I hope you have a great week. Take care. Bye-bye.